Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Tell the tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man who is inside. Fullback, you tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one shows. Go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. So look at this play. What we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you want to email the show, you can send a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com, and you can text the show at 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside my buddy Tim, who is live in Green Bay, and we are on the eve of the Green Bay Packers home opener at Lambeau Field, noon game. Tim, it doesn't get any better than this, does it, bud?
You gotta love the Nooners. The Saints are marching into town, and we can't take this game for granted. This is not going to be a walk in the park, right? I mean, First home game, a lot of, like I said, man, protect 1265. That's my mantra this year. Win them all at home.
Absolutely, and it looks like the weather forecasts are calling for it to be in the upper 60s, cloudy, and I think about a 12-mile-an-hour wind. You give us a little Green Bay weather update, man. It's going to be a 1 o'clock game tomorrow. I don't think you could ask for better weather for this game. Do you, Tim?
I don't either, but I'll tell you, if you want a weather update for a 1 o'clock game, check with me at 12:59, and I'll let you know what it's looking like because it changes so quickly. I'm from Milwaukee, and I'm used to crazy Wisconsin weather in southeastern Wisconsin. But when we moved up here, we got a real good taste here this last 5-6 months of living in the Bay and just how unique the weather can blow in and out up here at a rapid pace. So, I think it'll be a nice day for football, but who knows? We could end up with rain. I don't know. It might even snow. Who knows? It's Green Bay, right?
Exactly. It's funny, the Ice Bowl it kind of caught them by surprise as well way back in the day because it sounded like it was going to be cold, but they didn't expect that Arctic blast to come down that far. And you never know the way that jet stream is coming from up north there, man. It gets a little bit wacky. I love it, man. Every time I'm in Green Bay, I try to get up there in the winter and watch a game. And we flew into town, I should say, last year. We spent about 7 days. I think we were like 3 days before, the game was to kick off. And we got in, and as the plane was landing, we're looking out the window, and you could just see the lights because it was a night flight. And, man, it was a blizzard. It was absolutely awesome. Now, when we got on the ground, of course, it was just a little bit of rain. We get over to Lambeau Field real quick, just pass by with the Uber, and sure enough, snow started falling. I'm like, here we are, man. Next thing you know, we're sledding on Arians Hill and all that good stuff, man. So I love it, dude.
Awesome.
I love Green Bay. Let's go to the chat real quick before we kick off this little preview of the Packers versus the Saints. We got Ian in the house. Perfect time for a show. Just put in my earbuds and starting to mow the lawn. Keep up the great work. Go, Pack, go. Hey, man, appreciate you making us a part of your day. There's nothing better than mowing the grass and listening to a good football podcast. That's what it's all about, right, Tim?
That's awesome, man. We picked a perfect day to go on a little early. I like this. Shout out to Ian. I wish I was out cutting the grass. I don't have much grass to cut at my house, so I gotta enjoy it when I get the opportunity to do it.
I've got about 2 acres here on our immediate property, and man, I love it, dude. I get out there, and it's funny. Before I was trying to cut the grass, when I say before, 5-6 years ago, I was trying to cut the grass as quick as possible, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a cheapskate. I ain't gonna pay nobody to cut my grass, so I do it myself and take pride in it. Now, as I get older, I find myself making it drag out a little bit longer. It's like you enjoy it a little bit more as you get older, but it's fun, no doubt. All right, let's see. We got Adam in the chat. He says, Luke Musgrave or Jaden Reed coming out party, book it in all caps. Let's see the rookies continue to show out. What a draft class. It looked like Goody hit on this draft class, Tim. I mean, Luke Musgrave, you can see why they drafted him. I love that they're playing him as a traditional Y, and what I mean by that is an inline tight end. There will be opportunities to flex him out. But the fact that they're playing him attached, so excited about that. Jaden Reed, we showed it on the last Chalk Talk, that little touch pass to Jaden Reed around the end. Should have had a couple lead blockers. They didn't block. Didn't matter. Jaden Reed was not going to be denied. This dude's a baller. And again, you heard Goody say it. They were a little surprised. They're like, we didn't expect him to be this NFL ready, right? Which is absolutely awesome. And even if you dig into last year a little bit too, think about Zach Tom and the value he's providing, right? I hope Lucas Van Ness goes tomorrow. And we're going to hit on the injury report here in just a second. But Tim, what do you think about the rookie class so far, man?
Oh man, I think this is like the Goody draft class to basically make up for some of those picks that we complain about. I don't want to say TJ Watt, Kevin King again for the umpteenth time, but those those kind of swings and misses. It's easy to overlook those now when you look at these last couple of draft classes. But this one is great. And as you talk about Jaden Reed, man, what better compliment can a rookie player get, other than that, high level compliment of saying, wow, you look like a seasoned veteran, or you look like you've been here before. And, we love that in Green Bay, right? Act like you've been there before, is the mantra. And he's a total pro right out of the gate. And I think when you draft and develop the way we do, you have to put an emphasis on development. And when you see guys that come in and they're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit, in some respects of the game. I mean, we could even say that about, Romeo Dobbs last year. He had a few rookie moments, but he had a pretty solid rookie season. So I think that, this class is just a sign that, you have to have faith in this front office. I know Goody takes a lot of heat. Front office takes a lot of heat sometimes from some fans, but I'm pleased, man. I think we got some absolute dogs in this draft this year.
Yeah, it sounds silly, but I think we would all agree there was friction there between Rodgers and Goody, right? And of course, yeah. Rodgers took it to heart when they drafted Love, and what did he do? He went out and won back-to-back MVPs, right? Well, Rodgers kind of, I don't want to say he forced the Packers' hand. I think the Packers wanted to move on from Rodgers more than they'll admit, and rightfully so. You don't want to just come out and go, okay, this guy's arguably the best player to ever play in franchise history. We want him gone. But Goody made that decision to move on. I think this draft this year is kind of like, it's a little bit personal for Goody too. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, if there was ever a draft class he wanted to knock out of the park and show that young receivers can play well, when Rodgers wasn't very fond of having young receivers, as far as contributing day one, I should say. But the lines get a little bit blurry there. Probably shouldn't even comment on it. But Jeffrey in the chat says, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but a win Sunday would be huge. The Saints are a damn good football team. They are a playoff team. I've heard a lot of people hate them a little bit and this and that. And we're going to talk about the injury reports and players that are missing. But I agree, man. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Now, he hasn't shown it quite yet this year. Granted, he's been under pressure the entire time. He doesn't have Alvin Kamara, right? That's obviously, out with suspension. Now Jamal Williams is hurt. So he doesn't have much of a running game to lean on. Now he does have some pretty good receivers in Chris Olave, and then obviously Michael Thomas, what's left of him. And we'll kind of dig into those matchups here in a second too. But yeah, I agree. A win at home would be absolutely huge. Jordan Love's first start at home. Let's go out and get that dub, man. There'd be no better way to start the year. Let's see. Pensy in the chat says home opener, baby. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it. Everybody excited. We got Doug in the chat. Let's see here. This right here I haven't heard yet. Maybe you have, Tim. If not, I'll go search in the Twitter. M. Smitty or Miss, I guess it's M. Smitty, 1386. Hope that isn't your birth year. If so, you've been around for a bit there. Ballantyne and Taylor elevated for tomorrow. Jair and Jones potentially out. If that's the case, and Ballantyne was elevated and Patrick Taylor elevated, I don't know if it necessarily means Jones is out. But I think that would be the first time that Corey Ballantyne has been elevated, right? Right, Tim? These first two games?
I believe so. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it could be right. I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah. So if that's the case, then there's a good chance Jair might not go, right? Now, of
That
course,
makes me sick to my stomach.
right, especially with Chris Olave out there running
Oh
around,
my
right?
goodness, man.
I was thinking about this too, though. On our Chalk Talk segment, we pointed out all the missed opportunities that Jair had, right? And he had arguably his worst game of his career. And then all of a sudden he pops up on the injury report with a back injury. It kind of made me think, I wonder if that played into it. You know what I mean, Tim? Like maybe he was playing a little bit hurt there last Sunday.
It could be, and Ja does a lot to take care of his body. He's like a yogi. He does he's always stretching, doing yoga. That's why when he pops up with the groin injury every once in a while or something like that, it's kind of shocking. But things like the back or, that shoulder that he had a couple years ago, that shoulder injury, Jair is not super huge, so whether he's taking the hit or delivering the hit, that's always an issue. So I could totally see him being one of those type of players that could, tweak a back or, something like that. I don't know hopefully it's not spinal. Hopefully it's muscular if it is a back thing and it's not, something's borderline serious. But I think a guy like him, we obviously need all of our weapons on both sides of the ball to beat a team like New Orleans. And if he doesn't go, it's going to be really interesting. Now, hopefully Valentine really steps up, and you talk about a coming out game. That's where I'd like to see a coming out game right there if we get to see him. So We'll see. Fingers crossed for Sunday. We could all be totally off and all these guys are playing.
Right.
Like anytime if I see Aaron Jones on an injury report and I see questionable, I'm leaning towards he's going to go. Watson, maybe not so much, although the fact that he is at that kind of questionable status, I believe, is kind of a good sign, looking at where he's at, because he was, doubtful and, not going to play for sure. Ruled out the last couple of weeks already. We already knew. So the fact that there is some question, will he or won't he play this weekend, tomorrow? I mean, I think that's a good sign for a guy like Scoot, but like you said, we'll get into the injury report, but
yeah, definitely.
Man, Valentine stepping up would be nice though, right, Clayton?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I apologize if I'm not. Togrel in the chat said, "Is Watson playing?" We're going to hit on it here in a second. He's listed as questionable. We got United Bates in the house. Says, "Hey y'all, appreciate you swinging through, United Bates." Let's see here. Badger Trio. I will be at the game tomorrow. I can't wait for the noise when Love is introduced. Might be the loudest intro in years. It's a whole new era, man. Whole new era. And you think back, I was in the house when Aaron Rodgers took the field for the first time, and I got to be 100% honest. Okay, it wasn't just everybody's behind him. It was ugly.
Yep.
Now I didn't hear anybody booing him. Okay, but to sit here and pretend like everybody in that crowd was like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is the next great quarterback, was not the case. I think we would all agree that probably 95% of the fan base is on board with Jordan Love. I mean, they seem to really, really like this kid, and rightfully so, which we're already off topic. I don't care. I love chatting with everybody in the chat. When we've got a whole schedule out here for the show, guys, but just love chatting it up with you guys and answering questions and commenting. I think it's awesome. But did you hear what happened, Tim, when Jordan Love lowered his shoulder into that DB on that run against Atlanta? Did you hear what he said?
What Jordan said or what LaFleur said?
Well, both, I guess, right? So For those who may not know, that play where Jordan Love lowers his shoulder, he could have went out of bounds and he kind of juked back inside, but kind of threw a shoulder on the defender and everything and got hit pretty hard. To the best of my understanding, when he came to the sideline, LaFleur said, "Why didn't you slide?" Like he's pissed off about it. "Why didn't you slide?" And he said, "I felt like we needed some juice, bro. You want me to buy a couple Jordan Love jerseys? Keep talking."
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm skinny. I need a medium. Grab me one while you're at it.
I'm gonna need an extra large, but let's not talk about it.
I tell you what, though, when he comes out of that tunnel, if you're thinking he's going to be jumping up and down and doing like Ray Lewis style entrance, it ain't going to happen. He's going to be cooler than a polar bear's toenails, like I always said. And I think it's kind of cool, Clayton, that you got to see Aaron's first entrance or first trip at Lambeau, and I got to see his last. I was actually at the game last year, and got to see his final walk off. And I'll tell you what, I think that's something that, Jordan kind of has gotten from being Aaron's understudy is, in those moments when your team needs a little juice, you do it by making a play. You don't do it with the theatrics or the hype. Hyping guys up is great, but that only goes so far. When you're willing to stick your neck out there to get us a couple extra yards and lay it out on the line, you're right. That can fire your team up. So, Jordan Love is that dude. And I'm just so happy for him tomorrow. Badger Trio getting to go there. That's awesome. Have a blast. I wish I had tickets, man.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So since we're talking about it, I'm going to share the screen here and show you. I actually uploaded the videos. I filmed Aaron Rodgers' first touchdown pass from the stands. It's hard to see because I was opposite end zone. And then I'll show you his first rushing touchdown, too, as a starter. So let me go ahead and share the screen. I just pulled it up real quick. Just confirm you could see this, Tim?
Yep.
All right, cool. So let's go. Actually, let me go back. Let's go to the first one. Here's the touchdown pass. It might get loud. I apologize, but here we go.
Which just so happens to be the literal most insane throw of Aaron Rodgers' entire career. Play that again, Clayton. Look at this throw.
All right, I'm going to try to – I might be able to walk it through. I don't think I can. I wish I'd have put it in the telestrator.
Oh, my goodness. You talk about off-platform into a tight window. Holy cow.
I want to show you the TV copy, but I know we'll get hit with a copyright. It's right here beside it, as you can see my cursor. But let's do this. Let me make sure we're full screen, too. We're probably not even full screen. Let's go full screen with it. Here we go. That might help a little bit. All right, so here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Let me mute it. You can hear me, right, Tim?
Yep. I can hear you.
Cool,
oh my gosh, dude. Look at the body and arm angle. Like I would throw my back out trying to throw a football like that.
It was insane. Watch this.
Look at that.
First of all, play fake, right? He gets immediate pressure and watch him reset his feet. This is unbelievable. Look at this. And look at me filming like I'm drunk. Now I might have had a couple daddy sodas. I ain't gonna lie. Look right here. This guy's got contain on him and watch him.
Yep.
Look at the position of his body when he lets it go, man. Look at this. Look where he puts it too.
Ridiculous.
That's exactly how they teach it right there.
And then you think of all the throws in his career that followed this one.
Yeah, and you can see.
Oh my gosh!
Look at and that's a fullback, Corey Hall, making that diving catch.
Yep. Oh, and this was correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the Brett who throw.
Well, actually,
you were in the stands and someone said Brett who?
Actually, it was not. So
okay.
It was the he's going to keep playing. I apologize. It was the very first pass that he threw. He done a drop back play action pass and threw it down the middle of the field to Greg Jennings, a jump ball, and Greg Jennings brung it in. That was the first pass. And literally the fan next to him, he's like, man, let's see what this kid's got. First pass, drop back play action shot. I mean, he threw it out of the stadium. We both looked at each other, and that's when the fan went, Brett who? That is awesome. So here is the last one, and we'll get back to the Saints. This was his very first rushing touchdown and Lambeau leap. Check it out. We're right there in the end zone, too. And you'll see it pause because I took a picture. I took a picture during the middle of the video with this Canon camera I had right there. And then right here, watching Spocket, I got that shot. Then the first Lambeau leap.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a blast, man. Absolute blast. And again, when I bought the tickets, we thought it was going to be Brett,
Right.
We thought it was going to be Brett Favre playing, and it was not. So, as a matter of fact, ironically, he was the player on the front of the ticket, if I remember right.
Wow.
So, yeah, because they were going to retire his jersey. That's the whole reason I was going, because that was going to be the game they were going to retire his jersey. God, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
I only got to see Brett once or twice. I think it was one time in person at Lambeau. 96, 95 or 96.
Yeah. Was
the only time I was able to get up there to see him.
So Jeffrey in the chat said this game's a measuring stick. We can win this one. I completely agree. We'll talk about the point spread too. Let's see, Mike Hebring in the chat. Appreciate you dropping through, Mike. He said, I'm glad it's common knowledge now that the alive pick motivated 12. I'm guessing he said Love pick. Motivated 12. I was called a nut when I loved the Jordan Love pick for that very reason. 12 needed to kick in the you know what, and it worked. Brilliant move. I was completely on board with the pick too. I remember watching the McAfee show live, and I'm like, man, Ty is overreacting. Like the best time to draft a quarterback is when you don't need a quarterback. Period.
Yep.
Case closed. Now, if someone comes to me and says, Clayton, do you not think a first-round pick, if you hit on a solid first-round pick, that helps you win a Super Bowl? Absolutely, it could. So there's pros and cons with it, right? But they were trying to think in advance. Do I think that Goody made that pick, Mike, and saying, I'm going to draft a quarterback. I don't care if he's good or not. I'm going to draft a quarterback just to tick Aaron off so he'll play better. I don't think that was the case. I really don't. I think the reason the MVP came that next year is because it was year 2 of LaFleur's system. And, of course, it was still everybody was trying to get used to each other, But you could be right. That may have been the sole reason that Goody drafted him. I personally don't believe that. But I know when Aaron won the MVP, I thought for that alone, if you knew that was going to be the byproduct, if you had a time machine, you can go into the future and say, oh, yeah, if we draft a quarterback, it's going to make Aaron play even better. Heck yeah, do it, right, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think Aaron was ever a guy that needed any. I don't know. I don't think he needed a kick in the butt. But I guess it maybe reality check.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe the show does go on. Beyond you, and we appreciate the what was it, 18 seasons of service. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't surprise anybody that follows the Packers that, and I'm sure we'll do it again. We already did it this year. We drafted a quarterback. I mean, so the fact that we took Aaron when the rest of the league snoozed on Aaron, and with Brett still at the helm and question marks here, it shouldn't have surprised anyone that we did it again with Jordan Love. And Jordan Love being drafted has more to do with Jordan Love playing football than it does, Aaron Rodgers, I think, honestly. And I'm with you. I don't think Goody was spiteful with that draft move. You can't afford to do that at that level. You have to draft based on best available player, based on need, based on a lot of other factors. So I think maybe the reality check to Aaron was an added bonus, maybe. Yeah. I don't know if it was intended, but I would agree to that extent.
Definitely. And, another thing that Greg Cosell talks about every April is there's 2 different drafts every year. You've got the NFL draft and you've got the quarterback draft. Quarterbacks, what they mean by that is quarterback, it's such an important position in the game of football that they're typically treated one tier higher than their current tier, meaning when you build a draft board, you've got tiers, right? And you've got grades. And I could pull up the grading system. The best way to understand it is go to the 33rd team, their website, and look at their draft board from last year, if indeed it is still up. They'll show you. They actually, I know people like to laugh at stuff like Michael Lombardi and the 33rd team. These guys couldn't hack it in the league. They don't know what they're talking about. They use that website as if they are the 33rd team. That's where it came from. These are former executives, former coaches, former players. And they use the same exact grading system to build their own draft board as if they were a team, right? And essentially what it is you got a 6.8, right? Let's say a 7.0 is a top grade. Now, I can't remember what the top grade is right offhand. And then you got a 6.8. These are different tiers. Then you got a 6.5 and then, a 6.0, whatever. If the quarterback, let's say, is in the 6.0, right? You got a quarterback in that tier, you're going to draft them as if they were a 6.5. One tier higher because quarterback's that important, which kind of tells you they probably had a true 6th-round grade before the adjustment, when it comes to our boy Sean Clifford, right? And they took him in the 5th round, which is wild because he was not on my radar at all. He was and granted, I compile a lot of information from different people. And here's the thing, 33rd team didn't have him on their board either. So that's what I mean by that. It's just every team's grades are different, right? You can look at all 32 teams. I guarantee you there's not 2 teams in the league who had 100% the same duplicate grades on every single player in the draft. Everybody looks at positions a little bit different. They look at some teams like the Packers look at athleticism more than the game tape. Some look at game tape more than athleticism. Some people look at, the pedigree. Some people put a whole lot more stock in the background checks, all those things, right? So it's just fascinating. And I'm looking forward to the offseason already just because I love talking draft and trying to figure out who they're going to take. And this year we really hit it hard. Like if you go back a few weeks before the draft, the prediction that we came up with, and it wasn't me going, who do I think they'll take? It's just compiling a bunch of information, a bunch of mock drafts, draft by need. What have the Packers done in the past? We came up with Lucas Van Ness. And then, of course, on the live draft show, you guys heard me, when Ryan asked me who you taking here, I said Luke Musgrave when they took Luke Musgrave because he was hands down the best tight end, and it was about to drop off. They went on that run. On another podcast, we talked about that I think that they'll probably take back-to-back picks with tight ends for that very reason, because after Tucker Kraft, it kind of drops off. But anyway, that stuff is it's a blast to keep up with for sure. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped over that. ROKB said, put Valentine in at starter if Alexander is out. Man, I want to see Valentine. I want to see Carrington Valentine. Oh, by the way, Kentucky Wildcats rolled today over Vandy. I know it's Vandy. Give me a second, all right? Let me have a little bit of fun with this bad team. I say bad team.
How's Dion and the boys doing right now?
Oh, I've actually got it on. It is in the second quarter, just started the second quarter, and it's tied 0-0. No, it ain't. Oh, Lord, it's 13-0. Oh. That's getting out of hand quick. Of course, Oregon just ran a fake punt, and they've got the first down. So,
oh boy,
that's going to be a boat race. But, hey,
I told my wife, I said, man, if Colorado beats Oregon, holy cow, that's the real deal. How many places would they have shot up if they pull off a upset today?
Oh, my gosh, dude.
My goodness.
And that's the thing, like, just like the Packers and the Saints, this is a measuring stick game. This is a measuring stick game. I'm sure Dion went in there and said, we can beat these guys. We're going to beat these guys. But from the outside looking in, it's okay. We get a really good glimpse as to how good Colorado is today, right? Yep. And what Dion's done for the game of college football is just phenomenal, man. He's added so much spark to it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm already thinking 3-4 years down the road, Tim, if he continues to have success, what if Jerry Jones comes a calling and says, hey, I want you to coach the Dallas Cowboys? Oh, my God.
He's going to say no. Remember what have you heard? He was asked about that. He said he wants to coach young men, not the OGs in the NFL, he said. He feels like he can do more of the Lord's work with the college players. So I respect him. But you know what? Like you said, 4 or 5 years down the road, who knows? Does Dion win a title?
You remember the rap song he did? It's all about the money.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it may come full circle. But I know what you
right?
mean.
Who knows? Jerry Jones has got the checkbook. So
no doubt. And he said that he felt like this was a calling, like you said, that God called him to lead young men in coaching, and that's why he stepped into coaching. And man, what a lot of just a ton of success he's had so far. But I'm all on board with Valentine. Yeah, I'd like to see Carrington Valentine. Mike in the chat says Stokes is eligible after the Lions game? ? Is he on that timeline? 4 weeks, right? I think you've got 4 weeks. You got to be on that injury reserve and then come off of it. So yeah, I guess it would be right there in that time frame. I don't know all the details, if you have to wait 4 weeks or you can pull them off at any time, or they can only be on there 4 weeks before you make the final decision to put them on season-ending hour. I'm not exactly 100% sure on how that plays out, but it should be around that mark for sure, Mike. Let's see here. ROKB says defensive end Carl Granderson just signed with the Saints today. He was actually already on the roster, ROK, and I'm sure you probably already know this. He's one of the players we got to look out for in this game. He is an absolute stud for the Saints. That's why he got the bag, got a 4-year extension. We'll talk about him here in a minute. We got Cheesehead Murph. He is the vice president of the PTA posse. What up, Murph? Appreciate you swinging through, man. Zane Strong in the house. Aloha, Clayton. It's Tim. And Tim, it's game day tomorrow. Looking for a bounce-back game. Go, Pack, go. Man, Lambeau Field, it doesn't get any better, dude. It does not get any better. Jeffrey says Jordan Love is the leader of this team. Last week's press conference, I noticed the anger the kid has. He's a winner. He won't accept less. You see the leadership qualities. We heard about it, right? That was one of the big strengths of him coming out of college was it sounded like all the background checks and everything. Everybody was talking about his quiet leadership. They said that, he took on a lot of characteristics that his dad had. Anyone who knows his background, I'm not going to go into great detail, but His dad was a police officer. His mother was a police officer as well. And they said his dad was just one of those people in the community. He was a leader in the community, one of those type of people that people turned to and they could lean on him. He was strong enough to kind of, take them leaning on him. And everybody I heard from the age, teenage years, Jordan had that same demeanor, those same characteristics that his dad had. So I love that his parents were both, served the community like they have too. And that type of thing is just awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. Let's see here. What else we got? Badger Trio. I was at Rodgers last and now Love's first. Pretty cool. That's awesome, man. You can kind of usher out an era and take in a new one. That's really, really cool. Yeah. All right. And then last one, and then we'll get to a little bit of the show notes here. The Badger Trio says, so Rodgers got his first big contract halfway into the first season. Bingo. If Love keeps going as he has started, you think he'll get a new deal now or give him a full year? If we get to, and I want to get your take on this too, Tim. This is why I want to hit the chat, because these conversations you and I would never have. And this is a great question, Badger Trio. Thank you for asking it. Let's say we get into week 6, Tim, right? And we're week 6 and his touchdown to interception ratio, let's say it's, right now it's 6-0, right? Which is absolutely awesome. He's leading the league in passer rating. Let's say we get to week 6 and he's got, 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, right? Which should be easy from this point moving forward to hit that mark. I say sign him. I think you've seen enough. He knows the system. If LaFleur is going to be here long-term, and I think he is, I think you give him the bag. Now, the beautiful thing is if you do it that early, you're saving a ton of money, Tim. Mm-hmm. Now, if you wait until after this year and he has, he's an MVP finalist, get ready because you're going to be you're going to be paying anywhere from $30 to $50 million per year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I had even a few weeks ago on with you guys, I floated the idea of, even if he's, not putting up those numbers, there's still a chance that, we see a contract for him. The Packers, I guess this would be all that's left, right? I mean, Green Bay is committed to Jordan Love. I mean, we all know this, but you're right. The last thing to do is show me the money, so I think we could very, very well see that at the halfway point of the year. Yeah. I agree. I had said, I'd like to see the team, going into the bye, like 4-1 or something would be great. That'd be a nice feeling early in the season. But like you said, regardless of the record, let's look at our new QB1 and see how he's performing. I don't see any reason not to give him the bag, like you said.
Yeah. And Nick the Realtor says, but you're going to pay that for any quarterback that's going to run the show. Not necessarily. It's all about the way it's structured and all about how soon they handle it. What you essentially got to ask yourself is, okay, if Jordan Love hit the open market right now, what would be the best offer he would get? I think you'd have a hard time. Now, you got to keep in mind 55% completion percentage, right? To the best of my knowledge, it's around there. I think you'd have a hard time finding teams that would pay more than $30 million per year for him, right? That's just me personally. I could be wrong. You may be completely right there, Nick. I think that if you went to him and you really sweeten the pot with a ton of guaranteed money, you could probably come out with a cap hit in the $25 million a year range. I think that could happen. But the longer you wait, the closer you get to 30, the closer you get to 35, the closer you get to 40. That's just me personally. And I could be under evaluating that, that's just kind of how I feel. That's why you guys remember in the offseason, the way I looked at it was, all right, the team obviously thinks he's the quarterback of the future. We're willing to move on from Aaron Rodgers. You guys remember once we got to that point, it's like, pay him. You got to trust your evaluation. And if you pay him now, you could probably get him on average for 10 to 15 million per. Now, in 3 years, of course, he's going to want to renegotiate. But if you had went to him before you signed this 2-year or this 1-year extension, 2-year total deal, and said, "Hey, look, you know what, Jordan, you're the quarterback of the future. You're who we want to run the helm. How about we do a 5-year deal worth $100 million, right? And you get him for 20 million per, and you could probably do less guarantee in that situation. But again, if he continues to ball out and then he balls out next year, let's assume we did sign him to a 5-year deal, then probably by year 3, he's going to be going, hey, guys, I'm going to need a little bit of cheddar in the pocket, and rightfully so, right? So it's all about how you handle it. And again, that's hindsight is 2020, right, Nick? Like I'm sitting here saying that because he's got 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and seems to be a great leader,
Yep.
I wasn't
and there's no reason to – oh, I'm sorry, Clayton, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you notice I wasn't saying this before week 1. I was sitting there going, I don't know how he's going to do it. But go ahead, Tim.
Oh, no, I was just saying there's no reason to believe that he's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with in a negotiation either. Jordan is clearly a humble guy. And, I said the same – you could say the same thing about Rashawn too. We're talking about him, and it's like – you just got to come close. You got to be in that ballpark. You don't want to pull a Tay Adams and, kind of make a player feel disrespected or like you lowballed them. So if they do that with Jordan, I think it's just he'll sign right away. No problems, Yeah.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt. We got Jeff in the chat said, Nick, but early there are savings to be had. That's kind of what I was alluding to there, Nick and Jeff. You obviously we agree on that. Let's see. Zane in the chat says, do you guys think Reed has a chance to be rookie of the year at this point? Absolutely. He's got 2 touchdowns already. And let's be honest, I'm not one that thinks touchdowns is a huge stat individually. Obviously, scoring points is most important. But there's been some players in the past that caught 8 touchdowns, or Bob Tunyon, you know what I mean? That did. Yep. He had a year where he had a ton of touchdowns, right? Well, okay, the Packers wasn't willing to pay him. The Bears paid him close to a minimum contract, right? So touchdowns, I feel like, are overrated as an individual stat. But when it comes to rookie of the year, MVP, all that stuff, I mean, you can't deny that's what goes into it. He's already got 2 touchdowns. So I think he's going to have a great career. But I'm trying not to smile because I turned on that tape after they drafted him. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, man, that 2021 tape was phenomenal. I'm like, what I got most excited about, he could play everywhere. And him playing Z in Michigan State using in Z motion, it basically is the equivalent to the flyer role in Matt LaFleur's offense, right? So, yeah. It's exciting.
And I just love how he looks like on the surface. It's like he looks like this prototypical slot guy, and like, oh, put him in a slot, and it's like that kind of helps his game, because it's like, oh, wait till I'm out here on the boundary. Now what are you going to do? What are you going to do with me in jet motion? What are you going to do with me on short crossers from the boundary? That's the other thing I like to see them utilizing him, is he is split out wide, but he does come back to the middle of the field on these quick hitters sometimes. And he's kind of like Watson, man. If he catches that ball in a little window or a little bit of space and gets that motor going, he is absolutely gone. Run the tape on the Tutty in Chicago. I mean, Reed is just, I got a feeling he is that dude. So knock on wood, man. I could see him being a rookie of the year guy for sure. Just like I see my boy Quay being a defensive player of the year candidate when it's all said and done. How sweet would that be?
He's probably the player I'm looking forward to watching the most this Sunday. And it's a multitude of reasons, right? God, I wish he'd intercepted that ball, man. He would have been propped up like he deserves to be propped up.
Can you imagine what a great way to start the year? Two pick sixes to start your.
you see this jersey right down here?
Yeah,
that would have been coming out of the frame. You'd have seen me wearing that one. Yeah, no doubt. And Jeffrey, you point out here in the chat, he says if Jones can get $40 million a year, so can Jordan. Very good point. But think of how Green Bay played their cards. You sign him to an extension, right? So you've got 2 years. He's not going to be a free agent for 2 years. And on top of that, you could franchise tag him for 2 straight years after that. So you could have 4 potential years. All right. And the franchise tag for the quarterback's a little bit different. It actually plays right into the owners and the team's hands, right? There's no doubt about that. Just because of how the quarterback contracts have completely inflated. Now, with that being said, you've got that 2-year extension. You've got a 2-year window to sign him. And some people are going, well, he'll just wait it out. So you're telling me he's willing to wait 4 years and we could, show up to him and say, hey, look, dude, we're going to give you 4 years, average of $25 million per, and it's fully guaranteed. It's going to be a hard thing to turn down. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, that's where the little 1-year extension, 2-year total contract that Goody, signed him to, I feel like Jordan did the organization a favor with that. Now, maybe I don't want to say he didn't believe in himself, but maybe he was looking at it from a business standpoint, like, you know what, I better get this guaranteed money right now, and then we'll reevaluate in a couple of years. But the Packers are in complete control there. they basically have rights to him for 4 years. So as far as the $40 million a year, not going to happen unless the franchise tag blimps up to that by the time, I guess 2 years from now, essentially. So, but very good point though, Jeffrey. There's somebody out there that's willing to pay him. It's just they won't have an opportunity to do that, Which we'll look up in 2 years, Tim, and we have drafted another. Jordan played lights out. We drafted another quarterback, and we're trading Jordan and moving forward to this other one, and it'll completely blindside us. I guarantee something will happen that we didn't think about. There's no doubt about that. All right. As far as the chat, guys, I'm gonna hit pause on that real quick. We're gonna get to some of the stuff that we had planned to cover. And then we'll come back to the chat right before we wrap up. I apologize. We're 40 minutes in and we ain't even touched on anything yet, Tim, which I love. I love chatting with everybody, man. It's awesome. I do want to say that today's show is brought to you by Packernet Podcasts. For those of you watching on YouTube, if you don't know, we actually have this episode in podcast form, along with a whole network of Packers, centered podcasts, if you will. We got Packernet podcast with Ryan Schlip, absolutely phenomenal podcast. We've got Packernet Derailed, which is several of the guys get together. Sometimes you'll hear me on there. We get together and just kind of do a roundtable. You got Jacob and his Packernet Fantasy podcast. If you're into fantasy football, awesome podcast there. You've also got our boy Jake Shavink with the It's Always Draft Season podcast. If you guys like college football, it goes hand in hand with college football, but gives it through the eyes of a Packers fan and kind of setting the stage for the upcoming draft. So if you'll just scan the QR code in the upper right corner of this, that'll send you straight to Packernet Podcast on your favorite platform. You can pick from right there, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. But again, today's show is brought to you by Packernet Podcast Network. So let's get into what we were going to talk about real quick. I'm going to tag where we left off in the chat. Hopefully we'll have time to hit on that stuff. But first things first, the injury report, Tim. We've got it in here. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. I'm going to drop this down. It's a little bit blurry. I'm going to read it off. So we have several people on the final injury report, okay? Starting off with Jair Alexander, back injury, limited participation Friday. So he did practice in a limited fashion, questionable for tomorrow's game. Zane Anderson, safety, out with a hamstring. David Bakhtiari did not practice all week, and he is questionable for tomorrow's game, okay? Linebacker, Rashawn. What's that?
He's playing.
I think he is too. I think he's going to go out. I hope he does. And it's kind of in the preview we're going to do here in just a second. It might be the difference of us winning and losing this game. I'm not saying Rasheed Walker can't hold his own, but kind of the way I look at the tier 1 positions, Tim, it's like, man, we really need body play. It would be absolutely huge against their edges. So Rashawn Gary, limited participation. There is nothing tagged on him, so he is playing. We got Elton Jenkins. Obviously, he's out with the MCL. Aaron Jones, questionable. Limited participation on Thursday and Friday. I'm feeling better and better about him. Lucas Van Ness, limited all week with that elbow injury that he sustained down in Atlanta last Sunday. He's questionable. I think we'll see him maybe in a limited fashion. What you might see is Rashawn Gary's reps get amped up a little bit more, and Lucas Van Ness play that 12 to 15, maybe 20 snap role if Lucas Van Ness can go. Christian Watson, I should say, limited participation Wednesday, did not participate Thursday. However, Coach LaFleur came out and said that was planned. He didn't have a setback. Then Friday, he was limited again. So he is listed as questionable. And of course, Daniel Whelan, the punter, is full participation. He's good to go. He was removed from the injury report as well. As far as their side, you got Paulson, Abido, I think is how you say, Abido maybe, cornerback. I believe he was a starting caliber cornerback, had a hamstring pop up on Thursday where he was not listed, and then Friday he did not participate. He's questionable. You've got Amadi, safety. He's questionable with a knee injury. Taysom Hill was full participation. He's been battling a little bit of a knee. He should go, though. Let's see, everybody else is full participation except for Jamal Williams, running back. He is definitely out. Tight end Foster Moreau is doubtful. So that's some more good news. Don't wish injury on anybody, but that is good news for the Packers, obviously. The other thing, too, that we're wanting to hit on here, since we're on the injuries, I'm going to share this real quick. This was a tweet that came out from Wendell Ferreira, I think is how you say it. Or Wendell Ferreira. He said safety Marcus May is suspended. You guys remember one of our listeners, I can't remember who it was. I apologize for not remembering your name. But they actually said in the chat on our last episode that safety Marcus May had been suspended, I think, for performance enhancing, maybe banned substance, something like that. And cornerback, like I said, Adebo injured his hamstring. So 2 big losses for the Saints defense. Adebo is questionable, but it looks like he won't play. So they're going to be missing their starting free safety and one of their starting corners. So that's something that if Christian Watson's healthy, Tim, we might want to stretch the field a little bit there, man. But I'll pop this injury report back up as a reminder to you. But what do you think about the injury report?
I think, yeah, I mean, with Scoot, with him not participating on Thursday and LaFleur confirming that that's by design, and then he's limited yesterday, tells me that he's going to go. Like they're doing everything they can to make him see the field. Even if they had to give him that off day on Thursday, just to make sure that was probably just preemptive to make sure there wasn't a setback. Probably rather have him on the field. And if he has a setback on the field, at least it's during a game and we got what we can. We got to get the best out of our guys when we can get it. But I tell you, us being down to safety, Zane Anderson, I mean, I hope Anthony Johnson Jr. gets some love at some point. I don't know why I'm pulling for this guy so hard, but it just the vibe I got from him at camp is I think he's a playmaker too. And we are still looking for that complementary piece back there with Darnell Savage this year. So that's something to look for. But all in all, to your point, yeah, we need Bach out here. This front is no joke on both sides, left and right there. At the edge, Cam Jordan is going to give Zach Tom his money's worth, all day long. So the front is something to watch. But I agree. I think maybe we have an opportunity if they're a little banged up in that secondary. Might be a chance to, like you said, stretch the field a little bit, especially if we have Watson. We might have a chance to at least see a series or two, hopefully, if not more, with Dobbs, Watson, Reed, Aaron Jones, the full gamut here. So I just hope all goes well. But yeah, we've got to bring it to New Orleans, man. We cannot let this game come to us or develop. We have to go out and try and punch them in the mouth right away. This is a team that is, you can't take them for granted.
All right.
This is the best team we have faced yet this year.
Yep.
And it's certainly the best quarterback we have faced this year. I don't think that goes without saying. Derek Carr is better than Justin Fields or Desmond Ridder. So, and the Taysom Hill factor, right. Seeing him full Thursday and Friday, he's going to be out there, and that's always a wild card kind of factor. So yeah, we got to be on it. And Jair too, if he doesn't play, that creates question marks for me, because Keyshawn's going to have his hands full with Olave, and they're going to have to. I don't know how you think they approach this, but there's got to be some kind of safety valve or some kind of help to that area, because, and that's not even a knock on Keyshawn. That's on everybody. Like whoever's lined up in that area, whether we're in quarters and, man match, whatever, like you've got to be responsible for either him, your man, or you have to be responsible for your area of the field, because one mistake and it's 80 yards touchdown, and it's going to happen quickly. So, we got to account for him.
No doubt. And again, you've heard me say I would like to see Carrington Valentine get his shot in that nickel, me personally. Yep. But again, I was the guy in the offseason going, I think Keyshawn can play nickel. I think we got something here. So
I was there with you. I was saying the same thing, and then I don't know.
It's looked rough. There's no doubt about it.
He looked a little lost, like you said.
Yeah. All right, let's go to a little bit of Vegas talk here. All right, let's talk about some of the Vegas lines. I don't like to hit on this stuff real heavy, but I think it does have a role. I think you've seen it last week. What did the line end up being? It was basically Green Bay plus 1.5 by the end of it, right? And what did Green Bay do? They covered, right? So you essentially you lost by 1 point, you covered by 0.5 point. You see Vegas was all over it. So let's talk about this spread here against the Saints, okay? We don't give out betting advice here. That's not the purpose of this. This is just to kind of track the trend of the game and kind of how it's looking coming down the stretch here, all right? So let's start off with the money line. The money line itself, obviously, Green Bay is the favorite, okay? And when you look at the cash and the tickets that have come in, the cash is all on Green Bay at 74%. The tickets are a little closer to 50%, with 56% of the money line tickets going out on the Saints, but you've got 74% of the cash is on Green Bay. Okay. When you talk about the spread, like I said, the spread is Saints plus 1.5, which means the Green Bay Packers are 1.5 point favorites. All right. So when you look at that, the cover probability, I mean, they've got it right where they want it as far as Vegas goes. 50.6% on the Saints side, 49.4% on the Packers side. When it comes to the spread, you've got 55% of the cash on Green Bay, and then the tickets, 58% of the spread tickets are on Green Bay as well. So the majority of people, but is very close to 50%, are thinking the Packers are going to cover, okay, when it comes to that. Now, let's look at some of the team metrics that PFF provides here, and I think this is really cool. So if you look in the upper right there, you've got the team metrics. Overall power ranking, according to PFF, the Packers are 10th. All right. Not bad, right, Tim, for a team that was supposed to finish dead last in the NFC North. Kind of cool. Saints are 12th. That shows you how close this game is going to be. Power ranking on defense. This is going to blow your all's mind. The Saints, 12th. Obviously, they got Cam Jordan, right? They got Anderson. They've got Davis at linebacker. They've got arguably the best corner in the game this year so far. Granted, it's only 2 games in Lattimore, right? They're 12th. Well, the Green Bay Packers power ranking on defense is 9th. So I'm going to let that sink in for a minute, those people that want Joe Barry fired, all right? Like, you had the perfect storm last week of 2 dropped interceptions, right? And by the way, a gazillion missed tackles, and somehow their power ranking on defense is not. Pretty cool stuff. Power ranking on offense, 21st for the Saints. The Packers is 31st. Obviously, the running game was abysmal last week, and that fourth quarter collapse really hurt the numbers for Jordan Love and the entire passing attack. So they're ranked 31st right now, all right? SOS, strength of schedule played. I like to look at these 2 stats simply because, you know, sometimes a team can be ranked kind of high, Tim, and then you look up and go, well, they played 2 hot garbage. They played the Bears twice. How can we even take that serious, right? So strength of schedule, 27th for the Saints thus far, 28th for the Packers. Neck and neck even right there, okay? So essentially what you've got is they're saying the Packers are 2 rankings higher in the power rankings overall. The Packers have a slightly better defense, and the Saints have I don't want to say slightly better, a moderately better offense. Now, keep in mind, we were without Aaron Jones last week. We were without Christian Watson. We were without David Bakhtiari. If those players play, that number is a lot different right there, okay? Now, let's look at the quarterback comparison in the lower right. You got Derek Carr grading out as a 65.9 so far, and you got Jordan Love as a 65.0, okay? Passer rating with a clean pocket, 75.8 for Derek Carr. Brace yourself for this one, Tim. With a clean pocket, Jordan Love has a passer rating of 122.2. Bro.
Again, this is why we need Bach.
Exactly. Passer rating under pressure. Check this out. Derek Carr, 91.8. Jordan Love, 97.9. Big time throw percentage. This is the big one here. You talk about big time throws. Keep in mind the fourth quarter, right, of last week. Derek Carr, 4.9%. Jordan Love, 3.3%. Okay, so he's got the edge there. Turnover worthy play percentage. Derek Carr is only at 2.4%. He usually protects the ball pretty well. Jordan Love at 3.3%. Of course, his percentage got hurt with that dropped interception he threw there in the fourth quarter where he hit the DB right between the numbers, right? Power rating, 2.5 for Derek Carr, 1.0 for Jordan Love. Power rating rank, basically, Derek Carr is ranked 13th. Jordan Love is ranked 25th. Now, some people are going, but Clayton, you said he's leading in passer rating. He's leading the entire league in passer rating. He's got 6 touchdowns, no picks. Guys, that doesn't tell the entire story. If you were to sort it by completion percentage, he's in the basement, right? Which that's not to knock him. That's not to overpraise him. I'm not saying that one stat is more important than the other, but it's darn sure important to take them both into consideration, into effect. But the way that lays out there, Tim, what stands out to you, man?
I mean, I guess I can see that because when you look at the overall power rating kind of ranks, it seems like they should be closer to each other. Yep. But when I see things like Derek Carr having the edge with big time throw percentage and even the turnover worthy play percentage, that's just a testament to him being a veteran quarterback. and he's been in this league longer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those numbers are going to change for Jordan. We've got a small dose of the Jordan Love QB1 experience, and I fully expect those type of stats, and when we're comparing him to other quarterbacks, those are going to start to iron out and stabilize, and we'll get a better understanding of, because every quarterback's got their own tendencies and strengths and weaknesses, and we just still have not, seen enough to really, I don't know, get in too in depth at this point with a comparison. But yeah, when you look at their PFF grades, it's like that makes sense for sure.
Right.
But it's like, I look at the power rating, and I'm guessing they get there based on those other metrics too. But yeah, man, give Jay Money a clean pocket and get ready. Get ready to get lit up, because I'll tell you what, I'm actually, kind of a little sad that the Saints aren't at 100% in their secondary, because I'd love to see Jay Money with a clean pocket all afternoon going up against, a tough secondary and seeing how he does. But I think it's going to be great Sunday, man. We just, if we give him a good pocket and he's got time, good things are going to happen for us.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's do this before we go to the next segment. Let's see. We had somebody in the chat. I must have overlooked it. Here we go. I want to highlight this. Okay, I love this. I want every other fan base to know, and it's the reason I tag the Saints in a hashtag when I tweet this stuff out. You guys are welcome here. Anytime we're doing a preview for an upcoming game of our opponent, we will keep it respectful. We always do. Now, if someone gets in there and acts like an idiot, they're getting booted. They're getting the roadhouse. And if you don't know what that is, hang around, you'll understand. But with that being said, we got Turbo Duran in the house. He says, "Go Saints, go," with a smiling emoji. Says, "Who dat, everyone?" DC4 is my quarterback. Good luck, everyone, tomorrow. Turbo out. Love it, man. Love it. I'm kind of a Derek Carr fan. I love what he represents. I love how he's outspoken about his fate. I think that all of his teammates absolutely love him. I think it sucks that it didn't work out with the Raiders, seeing that Devontae went over so he could play with his college best friend, and that's the NFL. It stands for not for long, right? I think Derek Carr's a good quarterback. So good luck to you too, man. And we appreciate you swinging through the chat for sure, man. Thank you for keeping it respectful.
Let me tell you, Saints fans are some of my favorites when you talk about opposing teams. And there's a lot of things that I like about Saints fans are things that I like about Packer fans too.
Absolutely.
When you talk about passion and, I don't know if you've been down in New Orleans.
I have not. My sister went down and she was like, "Thomas," that's my middle name. She's like, "Thomas, you got to go. The way you love food and the way you love beer, you probably never come back."
Amen. And I tell you, New Orleans it's a special place, man. It's a very unique place. And a lot of great people down there. So I got a lot of respect for Saints fans. I never seem to hear them in the conversation of some of the shenanigans that we've seen happening from fans the last few years and even the last couple of weeks here this season. So yeah, nothing but respect for Saints fans out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got Omer in the chat says, "We need a run game so the play action is effective. Then only then will we see how good Jordan really is." Sure worked well for the two guys who came before him. Completely agree with that, man. If we get the running game going, that's the thing that's going to help Jordan more than anything. Number one Packer fan says this will be the battle of the trenches, and then Omer comes back and says our run blocking was abysmal in the first two games. Hopefully Jones will be on the field. And that can change this week, but no is very, very good. New Orleans is very good versus the run, absolutely. And talking to Mike Wall, I'm glad you guys brought that up. I just want to say this: the blocking scheme has got to be simplified, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand more than Coach Butkus or Coach LaFleur. Talking to Mike Wall, he kind of confirms what I see on tape. You're asking these offensive linemen to do things they can't do. And Mike was talking about how many times a coach drew something on the board and they literally raised their hand and said, "Hey, I can't get to that block." And, well, the OC wants to run it. We think we can make it happen. And then they come back and watch the tape Monday and they're going, "Why didn't you get to your guy?" I'm like, I told you I couldn't get to that guy, right? So I would like to see them run more duo, which is basically kind of what he referred to as double-double. You're kind of doubling Your double team run blocking, it's what we call vertical power. You're double teaming to the second level. And in some cases, duo is identified as having 2 double team blocks in between the tackles. There's a lot of people that argue back and forth on what is technically duo. I could care less. If you see a vertical power play where essentially a power run is when you have a offensive lineman pull and move over at least one gap. And when you think of duo, you've got a double team downhill running play, driving the defender off the ball, and then that offensive lineman getting to the next level and reaching another reach block. Okay, that's what you think of with duo. And it looks very similar to inside zone sometimes. That's why there's some really cool Twitter follows that Coach Haddad turned me on to on Twitter, where they literally will put a play up to him in all 22 or a box cam and go duo or inside zone. And they just put a question mark. And you go to the comments, and they are scrapping in there, bro. They're at each other's throats trying to figure out which one it is and prove the other one wrong. But I think we need to simplify it. That 3rd and 1 play where A.J. Dillon caught a bunch of scrutiny, and I was one of the people that were like, I can't believe he's tripping over his feet. They were trying to do too much with the running game, with the run blocking. Royce Newman had no reason to try to double down on that nose. He should have went straight to the mic, and we would have had that first down. Not saying that would have won the game, but that's just one example of how they need to simplify the running game. And I think it goes hand in hand with what you guys are talking about in here. I really do. I love the number 1 Packers fan, though. He came back with the perfect response to the Saints fan. Who dat, who dey, who cares? Go Pack, go. I love it. Absolutely love it. That's gold. All right, let's move on to the last segment here, and that is kind of matchups, right? Packers versus Saints matchups. I'm going to put up the PFF grades. It's going to be hard for you guys to see, but I'm going to talk mainly about the most important positions, those tier 1 positions of importance, okay? And want to key in on a couple of different things. So first of all, with our 11 personnel, Tim, I don't know if you can make these grades out. If not, if you've got a question, just ask, and I'll tell you exactly what the number is. But the one I wanted to key in on, with our 11 personnel, when it comes to positions, tier 1 positions of importance for me, quarterback, left tackle, and then on defense, it's edge and interior defensive line. Okay, more specifically that 3 technique, and they like to play their 3 a little bit closer to the left end is how they like to ISO their 3. So that would suggest that you'd have Cam Jordan ISO'd on Tom, and you would have Breezy ISO'd on John Runyon. In the passing game, I like that matchup. The thing that sucks, though, is if you slide over to the other edge position, you've got Granderson, who just got the bag. So not only does the tape show he's an elite player, not only does PFF have him graded out as an 89.9 elite edge, but now the Saints agree and gave him a boatload of money. Okay, so I think we got triple confirmation that Granderson knows how to play football. He's good at the football, as they say. All right, so when it comes to our tier 1 of importance on the offensive side of the ball matching up against their nickel defense, we've got Rasheed Walker starting right now if Bach can't go. Rasheed Walker's grade is a 58.0. Looks like a big mismatch. Now, the way that they potentially line up, granted, things can change when you watch the tape, okay? If you got Royce Newman going at left guard, in that situation, whether Bach's playing or not, you're probably going to be able to do a little bit of double teaming, okay? You're going to be able to you're going to have your opportunities to double team Granderson, but you're probably going to have to plan on having a single block on Cam Jordan unless they move Cam Jordan around, kind of like how we do Kenny or we did Kenny last year. Now we're settling him in at that solid 3 tech for us. Zach Tom, though, 75.7. Tim, this is going to be a great test for Zach Tom. I mean, Zach Tom going up against Cam Jordan, who some people would suggest he's a borderline Hall of Fame player. Okay, I'm not quite there yet, but he is a Pro Bowl caliber player, right? What do you think about those matchups there? And again, the way I've got it, I've got Granderson, right, and Cam Jordan. They've got the edge over us, in my opinion, against our tackles in this game. As far as interior defensive linemen, especially in the base, then they bring in Saunders to play base. I'm going to trigger that real quick here in an image, and I'll go back to the 11 or whatever you want to see. You'll notice you got Saunders there kind of playing that 1 tech on the strong side of the formation when we're in our 12 personnel. 71.3. I feel like that's a push personally. I'm not that concerned about that when you match him up with our defensive tackle on our side. And then at quarterback, you got Derek Carr, 65.9. That's tier 1 of importance, obviously. Jordan Love at a 65.0. I feel like that's a push. And then at left tackle, they've got Penning on their side, which I'm going to trigger real quick here and show you guys that. So Trevor Penning for them at offensive tackle, 48.3. And we're either going to have Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, or Rashawn Gary lined up over him. I feel like we've got that matchup. So essentially what we got is them winning one matchup, us winning one matchup, and then there being 2 ties or pushes on the other 2 matchups. Shows you just how close this game is going to be. But what do you think up matchup-wise there? And if you need a specific side of the ball pulled up, you just say it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Cam Jordan. I'm with you on that. I think he's a Pro Bowl candidate type of player. Certainly someone you have to account for. The one thing that with this look here is it'll be nice to see how Tay Wicks does being on that side if they're gonna Tyrann Mathieu.
If Watson can't go, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because him being a rookie too, and then Tyrann Mathieu is another one of those guys. Say what you want about him, I mean that dude is a baller. So having him as the safety over there with a young receiver, it'll be interesting to see how effective Wicks can be in the offense. But yeah, certainly up front on the edge. Like I said, I really hope Bakhtiari goes. That's going to give us a better shot on that left side dealing with Granderson, because he's an absolute beast.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's going to be a great game, man. When you look at those matchups across the board, I think we're going to have a fun one. It's going to be at Lambeau. Everything about this game has got me excited because, again, I know people have a lot of anxiety watching the Packers, right? It's like, if you could tell by the numbers, if the Packers lose, post-game show, not as many people are watching, right? Because you don't want to relive it. And I get that. We try to come from the angle of let's understand why it went the way it went. But this whole season, we all agree, is kind of a season of evaluation. I think the Packers can make the playoffs. If they had won last week, I'd be sitting here going, we might have a 10-win season here, fellas. Now, you let that one get away from you, but that doesn't mean you still can't win 10 games. You might win one down the road like you lost that one, right? Things have got to get better in order to do that. But again, this is going to be one of those games where it's definitely, like you said earlier, Tim, you hit the nail on the head. This is the best test we've had so far this year. And I think we'll come away knowing more about Zach Tom. We'll come away knowing more about Jordan Love. We'll come away a little bit more maybe understanding Bakhtiari's situation, whether they're going to risk him playing on turf or not, because that makes the knee blow up even more. The fact that they're not traveling, the little things that people don't think about, the fact that they're not flying, Tim, like they're playing.
Rasheed Walker talked about that on Packers site. Yeah. I guess they had one of those things they put up for social media, like, what do you love most about playing at home? And Rasheed Walker said not having to get on a plane after the game.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. And, that causes way more swelling when you fly, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting game nonetheless. But as far as weather, like we talked about and we opened up with, 68 degrees and overcast, you couldn't ask for, you probably, as a football player, you would probably want it to be a little bit cooler, just to have the absolute perfect weather. But man, it's going to be nice, dude. I don't think you'll have problems with people cramping up, Tim. I don't think you'll have hydration problems. I think you're probably going to I think we'll see the best version of this Packers team tomorrow. But I think the Saints are going to show up to play too. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said last week, I felt real good about the +1.5 with Green Bay last week.
Yeah.
And obviously that checked out. The -1.5 this week for the Packers, not feeling as good about. I would not be surprised if we're looking at another 1 point difference in this game, and the Packers may be able to pull out a one point win, much like the Falcons did last week. But
I agree, and I don't think this is going to be a game that we're going to have in the bag and then blow it. I think this is going to be one where it could be a lot of back and forth, or it could be, us kind of, playing from behind and having to come back and steal one. Again, like, it's like Art of War, man. You don't want to underestimate your opponent here, dude, at all. Not this game. And this is pivotal. Yeah, it's not a divisional game. Okay, well, this sets the tone for what I've said this the last 2 years. I think it's super important. We have got to take control of Lambeau Field again. Teams are not afraid to come here and play like they used to be. They're not as intimidated as they were in years past. We have got to protect 1265 this year. So this is a big game in that realm, establishing an identity for this young team as they come together. Let's hope it's that. Let's identify around the fact that we are not going to let anyone come into our house and push us around. You know, we got to win at home this year. That's something I felt the last few seasons was lacking, particularly postseason. Anytime we had a home playoff game, it didn't turn out too well for us. So we got to protect 1265.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the things that comes to mind too with Christian Watson, and Omar in the chat said, Omer, I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. He says, on the march, sir, this is going to be a very tough game. It's going to be a fun game too, man. It is going to be a great game. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, with Christian Watson, last year, Tim, you know, he was that deep threat for us, right? You've seen it in Dallas, or the game against Dallas, I should say. He is the guy who's going to stretch the field. Now, he was also the fly/jet motion guy last year too, right? So think about this. Think about the Patriots game last year. Think about the Cowboys game. You know, whenever you put him in motion, you know, yes, he's going to be getting the ball and he's going to be, you know, turning on that world-class speed, but you didn't have anybody else stretching the field. So you could kind of, okay, he's jet motion. Let's creep up, guys, right? Now, they do like to do a little bit of a dagger look, a dagger concept, and a slot cross look off of motion. So you can't get too greedy creeping up. But now if Christian Watson is healthy and Jaden Reed is that gadget guy, you keep Christian Watson outside, guess what happens by default, right? The safeties can't creep up on that jet motion because they've got to respect the speed of Christian Watson. That's why it's so important that he's out there. I think he'll probably be playing. Maybe it's his wishful thinking, but the fact that they didn't even ponder the thought of putting him on IR for 4 weeks, you know, it could have been that they were just shooting for the Lions game, and that in itself is worth keeping him off IR so he would be active for that game. But I'm feeling good about him playing tomorrow. And if he does, Tim, you're going to have him stretching the field, Jaden Reed working the fly motion underneath. Oh, don't forget about Luke Musgrave. We still haven't broke that out. We still haven't broke that jet sweep out yet. So that could be coming. We'll see. I don't know. I'm feeling good about it. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose, but I'm feeling like this is one of those games that if Christian Watson's healthy, Aaron Jones is healthy, and, you know, even if Bach is healthy too, I think we might see some fireworks tomorrow, man.
I agree. And I think if, you know, we talked about establishing a run game, and if for some reason that proves to be difficult and doesn't necessarily happen the way we want it to, I'm confident that we will pivot and manufacture some short passes and, you know, create the illusion of a run threat, because that's going to be crucial. That's New Orleans secondary. We have got to keep them honest. I said that a couple of days ago on the pod, and I still believe that. If they know we're going to just sit back there and chuck it all day, it's going to be a long afternoon. We've got to offset with a good run game. And yeah, having Aaron Jones out there is just so clutch if he's a go. And my gut's telling me he's going to go. I think all these guys are going to try and make a go of it tomorrow.
Yeah. And if you're, you know, fortunate enough to jump out to a decent lead, then start backing the reps off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put them back in if you need them. Let's try to get out there, establish a lead early, let this pass rush get after Derek Carr, because that is their weakness right now, is their offensive line. Yep. Their running game, really their offense as a whole right now is pretty banged up. It sounds like a broken record, but I'm going to say it again. Win the turnover battle, right? Control the middle eight.
Yeah.
We did that last week, but unfortunately we crapped the bed in the fourth quarter and we couldn't capitalize on a couple drop picks. That was the difference in the game.
Our secondary has got to be ready, because that's one thing we know about New Orleans, struggling or not, they're going to try and stretch that ball or stretch the field. I mean, they will not. Derek Carr is not afraid to throw the ball down the field.
No.
And we cannot get caught playing the finger pointing game, or I'm passing this off to you and you have no idea I'm passing him off, and now we've got a wide open spot on the field. Like, we cannot have, if we make those type of mistakes, they're going to be exploited immediately against a team like the Saints. So, we're not afraid of anyone, but again, we got to respect that offense regardless. So this is going to be fun though, Clayton. I'm with you, man. It's going to be a close game. We said that we called it going into Atlanta. We said that was going to be a close game, and lo and behold, it was. So, let's hope we get a victory tomorrow, grinding out. I'd love to see Jay Money get his first victory at Lambeau. That would be great.
His first victory at Lambeau and come out with 2 or 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like going into week 4 against the Lions on prime
come off
time.
That field without a grass stain on his jersey because he's had such a clean pocket all day.
Imagine going into that primetime game against the Lions, 2-1, right? With 8, 9, maybe 10 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, and your first win at Lambeau, dude. Let's go! Come on. That would be. Now we're looking at, all right, we've got an opportunity to create some momentum here. But we got to get healthy. There's no doubt about that. I want to say this as we wrap up. Melissa Hare, still haven't heard from her. She won the autographed Lucas Van Ness jersey. Obviously, need to send me an email, packerstotalaccess@gmail.com. If some of you are in here thinking you're going to fake that and send me an email as her, we've got ways to cross-check. That is the original Melissa Hare that is a YouTube subscriber here, or a YouTube PTA Posse member, I should say, here on YouTube. Okay, so if you want to enter yourself into that drawing, now is the time to sign up as a part of the PTA Posse. If you'll go to our homepage on YouTube and just click join, and just the minimal whatever membership there is there will enter you into that contest where we're going to spin the wheel tomorrow. What I'm going to do to prevent this moving forward, Tim, is we're going to spin the wheel 3 times, okay? And you'll have the first place winner, the second place winner, third place winner. If the first place winner does not come forward, we'll move on to the second place. Then we'll move on to the third. And surely we can give that jersey away that way, right? Because this is the second time we've spun it. And I understand people, I appreciate them supporting the show, but I want them to be able to get this jersey that they won. We're already backing up with some autographed stuff too. We got an autographed John Kuhn jersey we're going to be doing as soon as we give away this Lucas Van Ness. And then I just got another one in today. Tim, we got an autographed Paul Hornung jersey coming up too. So,
nice.
Yeah, nice.
I'm a fan of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too, man. I've got one hanging right back here. So, those of you who support us, and like I said, or remember the PTA Posse YouTube members, appreciate you guys doing that. We're looking forward to giving away some awesome memorabilia this year. Melissa Hare, send me an email ASAP, packerstotalaccess@gmail.com. For those of you hanging out in the chat, really appreciate you guys. You made the show. Like I said, you put us behind in a good way, and we appreciate you guys livening up the chat and giving us some awesome questions, awesome comments. As Nick said, spin it again, baby. Spin it again. Every time they don't show up, keep spinning it. We'll put 3 names out this week. We're giving this thing away this week. I promise you that.
Maybe we should do one where you got to be live in the chat with us to
win. I was trying to think maybe trivia or something too, but I want everyone. I understand some people can't be on the show live. You know what I mean? And
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, trying to be fair across the board, but at the same time, I definitely I want to make sure these people that win get the prize for sure. So, but that being said, though, thank you guys. Whoever's listening on the pod, we appreciate you making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Let's go get that Packers dub, home opener, Lambeau Field. Go Pack, go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
From a tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man who is inside. Fullback, you tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one shows. Go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. So look at this play. What we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.